Hey YouTube, welcome to another edition of Baseball Talks Extra Innings. This time we got a question from A Very Sour Apple on YouTube. They asked, can you talk about Adrian Beltre and Michael Young and their Hall of Fame chances? So thank you for commenting, and feel free, all of you viewers, to ask us questions about anything baseball, and we'll get back to you and talk about it in our Extra Innings segment. So let's start off with Adrian Beltre. He is third baseman. He's 33 years old, and he has some pretty decent stats so far. Some of the names you might recognize for third baseman in the Hall of Fame already are Wade Boggs, George Brett, George Kell, Brooks Robinson, Mike Schmidt. So a lot of big names that everyone recognizes. Is Adrian Beltre going to be someone like that everyone will recognize their name in 20 years?
You know, I tend to say no for Adrian Beltre. I mean, he does have years ahead of him, so it's a case that remains to be seen. But you look at some of his years, a lot of inconsistency in his career. I mean, he's had some monster years. The first one you think of was his first monster year with the Dodgers when he hit 50 home runs.
Yeah,
and you know,
of course, that could have been back in the steroid era. So.
And that's also going to lump him. He's going to be lumped in that group. That's for sure. But his numbers, over 2,000 hits. He's, I think, career batting average 277 or something around there. I would say no. I'd be on the no side for Adrian Beltre.
Well, just looking at some of these other players, let's compare him to Wade Boggs, who has like over 10 All-Star appearances. He was consistently voted for MVP, never won the MVP, got some Silver Slugger awards, but Wade Boggs, I mean, he led the league in hits before, batting average 5 times, walks even a couple times, doubles a couple times, whereas Adrian Beltre, he led the league once in home runs when he was on the Dodgers, like you mentioned, and he led the league in doubles a couple years ago with Boston, but really he got a couple Gold Gloves, made 2 All-Star games. But looking at someone else in his position, Chipper Jones right now, who I believe is someone that will definitely make the Hall of Fame. He's been in multiple All-Star games. He won the MVP back in 1999. His batting average, he was the batting average king one season, and I think if you look at his numbers, is definitely more likely to make the Hall than Adrian Beltre. So I think I'd actually have to agree on this one. Adrian Beltre probably not making the Hall of Fame.
Inconsistency is what has plagued his career, and I think that's going to be his downfall in terms of getting into the Hall of Fame.
Lastly, he's only 33, so he could put in 7 good seasons under his belt, and
he's with Texas, so that very well could happen.
You never know. He could end up with 3,000 hits. Talk about Michael Young. Some of the shortstops in the Hall already are like Ernie Banks, Pee Wee Reese, Cal Ripken Jr., who ended up playing third base too later in his career. Ozzie Smith, of course, Honus Wagner. I mean, Honus Wagner, like one of the top 2-3 ball players of all time. Robin Yount. These are guys that, again, you know, is Michael Young one of those guys that we'll think about in 20 years and recognize his name?
Well, I think now that Michael Young is kind of a utility player, he doesn't really have a position anymore. You say he's a shortstop, which he did play a lot of games at shortstop. Also played a lot at second, has been playing third a little bit with DH with the Rangers. So he's had a lot of defensive liability, and most of his, almost all of his value has come from his bat. And now when you look at cases like Edgar Martinez, he didn't get in the last time the vote happened, and I mean, I personally think Edgar Martinez definitely deserves to get into the Hall, and I think it will happen at some point, stat-wise, and we'll get to that right now. I think he might have a shot.
He might have a shot. I mean, the thing is, he's 35 years old. He's had multiple over 200 hit seasons, and one was last season where he had 213 hits, leading the American League. And that's something at 35, if he can put up those numbers a couple more seasons and reach 3,000 hits, he might have a chance. I'm going to go ahead and predict that he will not do that, and Adrian Beltre might even have a better chance to get that 3,000 hits. But let's look at someone else who started his career and is now at shortstop, Derek Jeter. He has already hit his 3,000th hit. He's at 3,100 right now, and this season he's on a tear. One of the best seasons of his career right now. After a season last year that I thought he was over. He has been in an All-Star game pretty much every year that he's been in the major leagues. He won the Rookie of the Year award, and not only that, he helped the Yankees to countless World Series. I mean, he has 4 or 5 rings right now, and that's another thing that might be taken into consideration with the Hall of Fame is how well did your team do? Were you that much of an impact player? Did you guys win series like that, get to the playoffs? So that's one reason why I think Derek Jeter, definitely over Michael Young, would get into the Hall. Cal Ripken, another guy who is already in the Hall, he was an All-Star from the second year that he was in the majors to the very last. That was from 1982 to 2001. Won 2 MVPs, and Michael Young has not done that.
I think the numbers, the over 200 hits thing for Michael Young that he's achieved will definitely be something of a plus. But he does have a long way to go. I think if he gets to 3,000 hits, he's absolutely in the conversation. But he's about 899 hits exactly away from that right now. So he's got to be productive for quite some time. And who knows how long he will be in Texas. That's definitely helped his numbers a bit. But no doubt Michael Young's a great hitter, and he should be given consideration. Maybe not the best sabermetric hitter. A lot of sabermetric crazy fans have knocks against Michael Young. He doesn't walk, but he's got great numbers hit-wise.
Yeah, he does. And going on, as more people get inducted into the Hall of Fame, it's hard to say because maybe, 20 or 50 years ago, he would have been a shoo-in. You look at some of these numbers of people in the Hall of Fame who only have 2,000 hits, less than 1,000 ribbies, under 100 home runs or whatever. But now, it seems like it's getting more and more competitive to get into the Hall. So that's it for this edition of Extra Innings. Thank you for your question. Everyone else, please subscribe and comment and ask us some more questions. We'll take care of them. Thanks for watching.